True Business Talk with Tom and Till.
So the question is, what's going to be the next big thing in the next 5 to 10 years? And I have to admit I have no clue. What I do know though is that one startup I'm mentoring, they have a pretty good idea of the next 5 years, at least in their space. And but they also say in the next from 5 to 10 years that is almost impossible to know. Because when did the first iPhone came out? Was that around 10 years ago? Maybe a bit later. And so to predict 10 years is almost impossible. We do not know how the iPhone would look like when it came out, like in 10 years after that. Before that it's easier, but so now still the question 5 to 10 years, which we have to answer. What I would still say, we can look at trends as they were before, and look if they have reached the peak yet, or if they might continue a bit. So we have these industry adoption curves from early adopters to late adopters. So if they are not over that, they're probably coming. This is how I would what I would approach that topic. Does it make any sense, Tom?
Sort of.
So what makes more sense?
I'm thinking about the question, and I guess instead of trying to predict things, I'll let you know the stuff that scares me that's coming, right? Because it's in a similar note, but you can also kind of figure out where you should go based on this. So the first one is the biotech, right? Whoever figures out how to create recyclable natural fuel or replace organs in people or make them get younger instead of older by messing around with the bio part of it is going to become a trillionaire, right? And it's scary because, I mean, there's already cases of, like, the Chinese, I looked on the news, creating superhumans, right, by changing people's DNA. The next one is the nanotech industry, by creating organic things, flying robots, which you can't even see. And there's already cases of that coming out there. Ones that can actually breed, right? And then you can use them for different purposes. And the third one, which scares me the most, is the artificial intelligence. There's already companies that can create these algorithms that teach themselves and multiply. And there's a company that uses them, let's say, for writing sports articles, right? And you gotta think that this artificial intelligence program, it doesn't tire, and it can write as good, if not better. Because I read the different articles. You can't see a difference between the person and the robot, right? So imagine that. The informational technology, which we all jumped on, could easily be replaced by artificial intelligence. Now that they're trying to get the voice to text, perfected to, think about this. Not only will this machine be able to come up with info, but it'll be able to respond to people actual voices and then maybe even say it back to you. And they're thinking, right? And they're much smarter than us, because I mean, it's a machine that can read every article on the internet and every book, right? So think about all the jobs and even all the stuff that we're doing that could just be replaced by smarter machines.
There are people saying that what is left will be the creative jobs. So at one point we do not need to do the grinding jobs.
And I thought about that too. But a lot of the creative ideas that we have, because you got to think, like IBM, I think it's IBM, they're actually re-engineering the entire brain, right? So that brain will think just like we do in a lot of ways. Obviously, it might not be in a body, so there's going to be some things and the morals will be different. But let's just say that it'll be able to think the same way that we can think. And
it will happen.
And the way we come up with ideas is by two different ideas usually having sex, right? So we'll have like something from, let's say, the ways that factories work, and then something from a different field, right? And we'll combine them and like, oh, I got it. This is creative. But if we can teach this artificial intelligence how to combine ideas and test them, that thing could be way more creative than we'll ever be. I used to think we can be the only creative species, but now I really doubt it. And that's scary, right? And when I look at trends, the ones that scare me are the ones that I'm trying to, I guess, tiptoe around as much as possible. Because that's the ones that can put me out of business. But the things that will actually come out, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to predict that. It's possible that it's beyond the next 10 years, maybe the next 30, 40, 50 years to rebuild a human brain in a computer. But there are people who... there's a mathematical analogy that it will happen, because putting every transistor into place, we all need more transistors, and the transistors are exponentially growing after Moore's law, which is proven to be valid since decades already.
But the thing that does make me hopeful is that once these artificial intelligences are created, and they're going to be... You can probably tune them to do a certain task better and better, right? So hopefully we can license them from the company that comes up with it and then overtake some kind of niche, right? So there's still going to be people overtaking all these different niches. They'll be the first ones with these intelligences, and they'll make a lot of money, right? But
yeah, the first ones will be the rich ones later, definitely.
If you liked what you heard, please leave us a review on iTunes.
They do matter.
Also, come and hang out with us on our website, yourownwayout.com. That's yourownwayout.com. See you soon.